Hello, and welcome to this training on trauma-informed leadership skills. As a student leader on campus, I am thrilled that you will be in a position to care for those around you, and it's my hope that you will be able to care well for yourselves in the process too. This last year was a challenging one, with navigating challenging social and political events, the emotional, physical, relational, and spiritual toll that came as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the resulting changes in how we see ourselves, others, and perhaps the future and even our world. It's no surprise that this season has been a traumatic one for many. At the end of this training, it's my hope that you will understand the nature of trauma, the emotional impact this last COVID-19 season has had on many of our student experiences, and ways to best care for yourselves and others in light of these realities. When we think about the nature of trauma, the US Department of Public Health defines it as something that results from an event, a series of event or circumstances that's experienced by an individual as physically or emotionally harmful or life-threatening, and that has lasting adverse effects on an individual's functioning and mental, physical, social, emotional, or spiritual well-being. Many of our students have experienced these pieces, the emotional, social, physical, or spiritual loss or grief or trauma of COVID-19. And these things have felt traumatic, especially if these students have had a history of previous traumatic experiences as well. Some students indeed have had a history of experiencing violence, physical abuse, sexual assault, maybe domestic violence or community violence. Other traumatic experiences, maybe the impact of racism or discrimination, traumatic grief, or other adverse childhood experiences. All of these pieces put together can have significant impacts on student learning and emotion regulation for some of our students. When we think about how trauma impacts us, we want to be thoughtful and intentional to understand this. Trauma causes our brain to be on guard, to watch out for similar dangerous situations or experiences from what we may have experienced in the past in order to protect ourselves from getting hurt again. This can be helpful and protective, but at times our brain also overgeneralizes at times. So we see some situations as scary or threatening when they may actually be a safe environment. Our body and our emotional responses may become overly activated. We may have a fight, flight, or freeze response, maybe being aggressive or on guard in a situation, perhaps running from it, or even freezing or feeling emotionally numb or stuck in a circumstance. Sometimes trauma correlates with feelings of anxiety or depression, sadness, loneliness, feelings of being overwhelmed, or maybe feeling irritable, among other symptoms. We think about different considerations for trauma-informed care as well. Student leaders want to create an environment that provides a sense of respect and acceptance and care for those that they lead. Some key components of creating this environment of care are creating a sense of safety, having safe physical space when we're around others, respecting physical boundaries and a healthy distance. We want to have trustworthiness and transparency, being consistent in our care for others, being honest and genuine in our support. That creates emotional safety. We can even model healthy boundaries and even sharing our story and having appropriate vulnerability or self-disclosure to help others feel safe around us. We want to encourage peer support. Having consistent support and connection to those around us helps us to feel connected and to have a sense of community, that we are in this together. Collaboration and mutuality and fostering empowerment and choice are important pieces as well. Helping students to collaborate to solve problems, honors their view, helps them to feel empowered to choose their outcome and to have a sense of control in the midst of their circumstances. And lastly, cultural, historical, and gender issues are important to honor and understand as well. Understanding how one's gender, one's culture, one's history impacts how they understand who they are and creates a sense of safety and support. So how do we care for ourselves and for others with this trauma-informed lens? Operating with this lens involves shifting from asking victims of trauma the question of what happened to you, what is wrong with you, but rather the question of what happened to you. We want to seek to understand someone's history, their story. Recommendations to really understand is to first listen to a student's story and their experiences, help them to feel heard and understood and safe, validate the importance of their unique experiences, Ask how it's impacted them or shaped them, maybe how it's helped them grow despite the challenge. Offer support, help connect them to campus resources, offer to pray with them, provide encouragement, or to simply be a listening ear when they need a friend. And also to follow up. When you see a student in distress, check in on them, text, stop by, send a message, even after you've followed up with them another time. Check in again, see how they're doing. Are you getting better now? Things are going well. I'm so glad to hear that. How can I keep helping? And I want to also touch on compassion fatigue to make sure that as you care for others, that we're also caring for ourselves. As time at times we may feel depleted as we hold our students' stories. So be sure to check in with yourself. Notice how you're feeling. Am I feeling tired after meeting with this student? Am I feeling more anxious than usual? Do I feel heavy, sad, burdened? And what might I need? Do I need to pause to rest? Maybe I need to pray through this situation. Maybe I need to sleep or eat. Maybe I need to play and take my mind off things. Maybe I need to connect with someone who fills me up. And lastly, as student leaders, it's important to realize the impact of trauma, to recognize the signs and symptoms, to respond with care. And in doing so, we resist re traumatization. We protect those around us. And as we approach them with care and compassion, we come with curiosity, asking, what happened and how can I help? Rather than what's wrong with you. And so, thank you for your deep care for those around you, and thank you for who you are. I believe you are in this student leadership position for a reason, and that God has you here to help bring hope and healing and care to our campus. Thanks so much.